Hi there and welcome back to Japan, where we're checking out Magic of Butterfly by desurabbits. Now, you know how the format works here, right? Just in case you didn't, obviously, since we've restarted with this new channel, we have to do a slightly different format. So basically, I'm about to give you the review of the song. If you want to check out the reaction, click the link in the description below. It'll open a separate player and then you can just view that quickly there. So pause this video if you haven't already seen the reaction or heard the song, or if you're not ready for the review, pause it. Have you heard it? Have you heard the reaction? Have you seen the reaction? Are you good? Are you ready for me to review the song? Spoilers not intended. It's review time. Okay. So, I was really interested because obviously the only desurabbits song I heard before this one was one that came with some interesting feedback from you guys in the comments as well, because I was really taken by it. It was one where they were much, much younger, and I must admit that just the whole sort of joyful, over-the-top, bouncy nature of it, and just the way that it insanely went through so many different things and held them together really, really appealed to me. And then it was quite a little while, a good few months before I got around to listening to this one, obviously as the second desurabbits song we heard on this channel, the first one since we restarted. And, you know, I've got to admit, I'm kind of intrigued by this. I knew that obviously now that they were older, I've been warned, hey, they're older now. The video you checked out before was a few years old. So they're kind of like they're teenagers now or whatever. You know, they're relatively grown up. So the tone's going to be slightly different. And yeah, it was a bit more mature. There was some really interesting things about this. I got to admit, it didn't quite achieve the experimental madness that the first one did, because obviously this one was playing it a little bit more of a sort of emotional intent. So you can't go quite as far off the rails when you're doing that kind of thing as when you're just kind of being silly and throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks, which is what the first song was in a very good way. Now, with this, I must admit that I think a lot of things about this worked. I liked the production was really spot on. I really loved the production. There were some great little moments in there. It had a slightly cheesy edge, but I think they played that to perfection. The way that the piano was sort of twinkling to one side of the headphones, it was giving a little bit of, or speakers, depending on how you're listening to it, was giving a really nice sort of tone to things. It was adding detail in between the notes. There was a thickness to the production throughout. It was rocky, but it never felt in that sort of way that sometimes, badly produced rock can sound. It never felt like you were just being sort of overbeared by it. There was a feeling that the voices were carrying the lead and that everything underneath was nice and thick and, supporting it. But at the same time as having those little sort of synthetic strings, having the piano runs, all that kind of stuff in the background, there was enough playful sounds. There was a little guitar break that I think I pointed out during the reaction where the guitar just kind of panned from left to right, and it was nicely compressed all into the mid-range. Just little things like this that kept it interesting pretty much the entire way through. So I've got to be honest, listening to this song, I felt that it wasn't shy on production detail. When it comes to the writing was pretty good. In some places it was excellent. In some places it was pretty good, and I think the overall result of that was it felt slightly uneven. Now, that's not to say that it doesn't flow from beginning to end, or with any troubles. It flows nicely from beginning to end. However, as I did also point out, the intro, it comes in with that nice melody, starts to build up. Then you get that pre-chorus, which I think was nicely handled. It really starts ramping things up really well. It just, when it gets to the chorus is good. I just don't think it carries the rest of the song. The chorus kind of feels like a relatively kind of catchy, relatively disposable, sort of nice sing-along melody, which, given the sort of weight and heft that they were putting into the build-up of it, it doesn't feel like it lives up to that. Maybe in another song that chorus would be really spot on. Just in this one, I felt we were going to go for something dramatic. I thought we were going to get some really big held notes, something really big and anthemic. That's kind of how it felt it was going. And instead we got a relatively, like I say, a sort of twinkly, melodic chorus with sort of fairly short notes, nothing particularly held, nothing that particularly seemed like it was blasting forth with passion, which is, like I say, what I was more expecting. I did like how they, I think it was in the post-chorus, they managed to throw in the bit where I keep on forgetting that guy in the freaking stormtrooper suit or whatever is going on back there. He is still there. They still have to accept his presence. He's still a big part of the band, so he has to break in with some death metal. And, that could go one or two ways depending on how you look at it. I think some people could see that as not fitting with the tone of the rest of the song, and I would not argue with that. However, I think on the other side, I think you could say that it gives it a bit of levity, a bit of a self-conscious nature, self-aware nature, should I say. It makes it a little bit more of something that you can look at and say, okay, at least they're not pretending to be some super dark emo band or something like that. Not that I think that's the way it was going anyway, but you know what I mean. It adds an element of self-awareness to it, I guess you could say. So I think there is a slightly uneven nature to this song. That's my biggest problem for it. The first one, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that they should constantly be doing these twinkly, fun, happy songs. I'm actually all for them doing something a little bit like this, a little bit darker, or just a little bit more emotionally heavy. I do think they have to commit to it, because the first song, like I say, they committed to Crazy 110%, and wow, did it work. It was really spot on. This one, they seem to 80% commit to doing something emotionally deep. So I think it really depends on how you look at it. I think you could see this as being a nice twist on the sort of dramatic pop ballads that Asia in particular is quite well known for, the sort of dramatic pop rock ballads. You could see it as a nice twist on that, or you could see it as a wasted opportunity to really throw themselves more into it. I think ultimately if the chorus had been more bigger, more sort of a blast your lungs out singer, more of a sort of a powerful chorus, then it would have both jointed the song together, and it would have also allowed that sort of death metal bit in the post-chorus to feel a little bit more justified, because it would be elevating again. You'd have like a big powerful chorus and then even more energy in the post-chorus. It would feel like everything was constantly building in one direction. I think it's all down to the fact that the chorus, as good as it is, doesn't feel like it belongs in this arrangement. I think it feels disjointed. If you took that out and added, like I say, as I keep on repeating myself a bit too much here, aren't I? But if you added that sort of lung blasting chorus in its place, I think everything would work in a nice smooth curve and then reset when you come into the second verse, which is your old traditional pop rock trope. But it would have worked really nicely with this, because like I say, they could have carried that off, considering a lot of the individuality of the song comes partly from their style of a band, you know, having three girls and this guy, and also the fact that the production was so spot on, had a nice arrangement to back it up as well. So yeah, my feelings on this, really good. I think that I wish I could give a good demonstration of this. Maybe one day I'll be able to do a cut and shut of maybe another song's chorus with this, just to give you a demonstration of how it would work. But I think that this song is maybe just one good hook, one good belter of a chorus away from being really good. And instead comes across as good, bit disjointed, and with some really great bits that don't quite get their full payoff. I would still say this is a song that I would be more than happy to listen to again. I'd be more than happy to go back to, but I think it doesn't ultimately ring as one of those ones that's going to stick hugely in your memory like maybe other songs would do. Credit as well. I get the feeling from everything I've read and from what I've seen that these guys work on a relative budget. They're not sort of like massively, you know, they're not one of those household name kind of kawaii metal bands. They're not a baby metal when it comes to popularity or anything like that. I think they did a good job of making the video look quite nice. I mean, they seem to pick a relatively small but careful number of sets. I think they were using like a church. It seemed to be a proper church they were using, and they nicely arranged how the shots were done. The video looked like it was more expensive and nicer than I think it probably actually was in reality. So credit to where it's due to the director for, you know, making a good job of that. I like even like little sparkly butterfly effect in the bridge. That was nicely handled. It was a cool little bridge, and that was a nice thing there. It looked kind of twee, but not in a way that looked, you know, like it was crappy and, you know, making everything look cheap. So yeah, generally this does still keep me with a whetted appetite to hear more by these guys. And I think this is a really good demonstration of a band who, you know, at least they're being interesting with what they're doing. I mean, I was thinking, I had a flash of thought when this was playing through, that with the disappearance of Lady Baby, which I think is quite a shame, because Lady Baby they went through so many phases, and I think they just finally hit a phase where actually it was like, okay, this is good. This has turned from being something of a novelty into something I could really enjoy. And then they disappeared, which I was really kind of sad about. I thought that was a story that was going to explode into something really interesting, and I was kind of sad when that went away. These girls, they got a lot of time to develop on what they do, and depending on how they approach this and how original and how interesting they want to be, it seems like there's a lot of good ingredients there. There seems to be a willingness to be crazy. There seems to be a willingness to be dramatic if necessary. There seems to be a willingness to experiment to a certain degree. I'm looking forward to seeing what this turns into. And I hope they stay together, and I hope that in the coming years we get to see something interesting from desurabbits. But anyway, that's my opinions. As always, you know how this works, unless you're new, in which case I'll tell you. Basically, get in the comments whether you like this song or not. I want to hear all the opinions, because this is all about discussion. This isn't all about kissing ass, and it's not all about being rude either. So guys, let's have some nice respectful discussions about what you guys think about this. And of course, if you want to get more in-depth in discussions, remember we've got our Discord, which is linked in the description below, underneath where the reaction was linked, as well as you've got my Facebook, the Twitter, there's the Reddit, great place to suggest new songs, including maybe more desurabbits for us to listen to. And on top of all of that, if you really, really like us, there's the Patreon. Massive thanks to our Patreon supporters. As always, you guys are absolutely epic. You are the whole reason why this channel was managed to rebound from being closed down the first time. I really love and respect the fact that you guys have made it to the end of the video. Thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing you soon on the next video. But until then, for now, from Japan, ciao, ciao.